Rook takes on c1. Niemann resigns the game. A shocker. One of the worst of 2026. Why did he resign? Because now Wesley So can play takes, check, king goes, and this is a mate. The rook had to stay with the square. What an absolute thunderbolt. Niemann still had a minute on the clock in the Tartar Steel Blitz event, briefly taking it from the top. How did he manage this one when his position was so solid and steady? Played a semi-Slav, solid pawn structure, party hat, everything's normal. He even ends up with the bishop pair. Lovely jubbly. There we go. Two of them on the board, but Wesley drums up a little bit of play. Niemann hesitant to castle into this queen h5 business. This is what happened. g6 repels, but the queen moves forward. Bishop backs up, gets rid of the lady, tucks into bed. This is how things went. This is the fateful moment. Move 24. You have to stay with the defense of this pawn. Castles is playable. There's this funny line. Knight takes on g6, and the idea is you just opened up an attack here, and if rook takes, there's an in-between check and then recaptures, but black can actually play this rook across, and there's a problem. All the pressure down here means white's best is rook takes, but then queen takes, and you're about to take them off the board. Best is this for white, because then you can escape with your knight, game goes on, but black's in the fight. Niemann misses it, crashes and burns on 24 moves there, and I've got two more to show you here. The surprises keep coming. We're going quick and dirty today because it's Blitz Chess, final day in India, plus the fire-breathing dragon is on the way over, also known as the mother-in-law. We got to get going here. We see in this game Wesley So kicking off with e4. He's playing Vichy the king, legend of chess. 56 years old now, I think, but still mixing it with the best of the best in India. Truly incredible stuff. And playing a Najdorf variation, razor sharp. I mean, look at the number of options already available to Wesley. He goes with the move pawn h3, aggressive intentions. First we see Vichy gaining space there, kicking back that little piggy, and now we see bishop e6, bishop e3, knight bd7 and g4. Let's go, baby. Gary the debt collector barreling down the board, ready to bang down some boards. If you know a Gary, do give them a hug. They're a dying breed here in the UK. They need our support. Now we see this pawn advance to cover the g5 square. Queen d2, of course, and b5 starts the counterplay. You could castle queenside straight away, but Wesley takes a timeout, covers his central pawns a bit. Now we see bishop e7, stacking up those bishops, castles queenside, and these are the ways to play if you want to intensify the pressure on the queen side, bring some attacking spirit. Vichy knows all of this, of course, but he thought, hang on, let's take a little time out and try and open up the eyes of this bishop here, cover this kingside attack a little bit, prevent h4, but it's not the play. We now see king b1, always play it, and when the engine's telling you that the top move is to bring that knight right back, you know you've done something wrong. Castles was played, however, and now a move that Vichy might have underestimated. Pawn h4 on the board anyway. Now those pawns are about to blow you apart, so we do see takes. Not the best, but understandable why it was played. This was the whole point of the knight move, saying you're not allowed to do that, Wesley. I will call your bluff, but it's not a bluff. There's an absolutely rip snorter of a move here. Can you guess what was played? Bishop takes on h6, just ripping open the heart of the king position. And if pawn takes, not played, but let's always ask the obvious questions first. Then queen recaptures. You're about to win back your piece immediately, plus 2 pawns. And if black tries to save the piece, let's say bishop g5, well, this is the problem. Bang, not just a check, but a mate. And if you don't save the piece, well, then what are you doing? Top move, apparently. But let's say something like this. White's, what, 2 pawns ahead? 1 pawn ahead, but still very good. Let's run back. We didn't see takes. We saw pawn b4 before you can say
mushrooms.
Now we see knight a4, bishop f6 backs up, but it's just going from bad to worse because bishop e3, there's a second brilliancy on the way. The big threat here is queen h2 and delivering mate. So we see the move, rook e8. It clears a square for this knight so that upon queen h2, you can play knight d to f8, knight on f8, no mate as they say, but it's not quite working out that way here because look at this. Queen takes on b4, Wesley just using that board as his canvas, reminiscent of how Ding Liren loves to use the canvas these days. He may not be playing as much chess anymore, but boy can he do some fantastic watercolours. We now see bishop e7 to cover the backwards pawn, d5 is a threat, so the queen backs up. And also, she prepares to continue with the pressure. Queen c7. Looks like you got everything under control as black. And you can try a little bit of attacking something. But no. Wesley plays another brilliancy and ends the game on the spot. Can you guess what he played here? The move is knight b6. Well done if you connected the fact that if this knight takes, now you can swing the queen across and there's no knight d to f8. It's an overloaded piece in a subtle way. This is threatening mate in a couple. So say you go bishop f6 to give the king some running room. But now anyway, check, king goes, and the top move here is pawn g5. You can't retreat or you take away the luft and you get mated. So what to do? You're about to lose a bishop. Who knows what to do? You're dead. So let's run back here. Final position. I've got a third and final game. Again, Wesley So. There's a bit of a theme emerging here, and I'm going to reveal all soon. d5 from Wesley. We're looking at it from his point of view here. He's playing the rock solid and steady Queen's Gambit declined. Why do they do this before the knight? Well, it actually prevents the bishop g5 lines, you know, subtle stuff. But white doesn't have such a good waiting move here. Yes, you can go knight f3, but what if you wanted that knight on e2 and you go for the f3, e3 or e4 setups? You know, this is the subtle stuff going on. Let's stick with the master play. Now takes, pawn recaptures. This is the Carlsbad pawn structure. Is it spelt with a K or a C? No one really knows. It's driven many a grandmaster insane. We now see bishop f4 and knight h5 chases that guy, backs up, knight comes right back, and this is the thing about Wesley So. There's a reason they sing, say it ain't so. Wesley's a pro because he's so professional that he will bore you to death with draws. And this isn't some personal attack. This is backed up with the numbers, the figures, the stats. Forget Drawnish Giri. Wesley So is the real drawmeister in disguise. Loves a draw. He will put you to sleep. Look at some of these players playing against him in previous years. Poor people. It's why you can't get a game when you're playing someone like Wesley So. He will happily take this repetition. May have just gone off on a bit of a rant there, but thanks for bearing with me. And that's why pawn e3. Arjun doesn't want the repetition. He wants the fight, of course. Such an exciting player. They call him the madman of chess, or I think some people do. If not, we should, because he plays the most crazy, exciting chess. You're going to see it in this game. Doesn't always work out, but what a fun player he is. Pawn to c-ships, covers the centre. Absolute classic setup this. Bread and butter of chess. Knight e5. Now you could go for a c5 break or a6 to prepare it, but Wesley takes on e5 immediately. Pretty harsh, giving it the question mark, but apparently not the best move, right? Pawn takes and knight g4 is his point. Now, after pawn f4, it looks like you're getting completely overrun, steamrolled by this pawn-ageddon, but here's the counterpunch. d4. And you hit pawn, you hit knight. So you're kind of breaking things up. Now we see knight d1. Strange looking move, but it is the best one. Stacking up the minor pieces. Takes on e3 is played. That's a loose bishop. So knight recaptures, of course. And now queen d4. And this is always the thing about pushing an f-pawn. You will open your king. It could come back to bite you. However, for now, white's okay if you play bishop takes on h7 check. Best move, king h8, and then rook f3 is the critical line. So you cover that piece twice. It was attacked twice, about to drop. And if you try and trap the bishop as black, terrible move. You can see the bar drop there because you can play this and the rook swinging. It leads to a mate or massive loss of material. You're also hitting a loose rook here because black never got their bits out, connected the rooks. So you cannot, after takes on h7, rook f3, you cannot go pawn g6. Another move would have been played, but we won't go any further. It's a different game. Didn't happen. Rook a1 was played. Very natural to cover the piece that second time. But now g6. You can blunt this one. There are ideas of f5 on the way soon, and white does stand a little bit better for that reason, though you do have to watch out for the e5 pawn. Bishop c1's prudent here. It's kind of x-ray attacked. Also rook e2 could be played. Let's show what was played, because it was terrible. Bishop c4. And this is such a bad move because you relinquish control of f5 and this key diagonal. Not only was the bishop stopping this move, but also it was supporting an f5 break later, which is critical for white's attacking ideas. And this is where Arjun goes completely nuts. Best move, queen c1. You stay with the bishop. Black's now a little better, right? You've stymied the f5 break. Bishop's on the wrong diagonal. Rook's coming to the center. All of this stuff is annoying, to say the least. Black's a bit better. But Arjun plays queen b3. Now, in a way, makes sense, because it's blitz chess. He wants to randomize, but he was very far from lost after queen c1. Still a lot of play left in the game. This is dead as a dodo. Maybe shouldn't say that. Poor dodo. We now see king f8. Takes was thrown in. Bishop recaptures. Bishop takes here. Fine, you've picked up an exchange, but two bishops versus a rook, exposed king. This ain't going to cut it for white. We see pawn h3, chasing back the bishop. On that move there, an immediate f5 was actually better. Gives a pawn, but opens lines, creates weirdness. This is the game, and you can't even play rook f2, or you run into this. So because this rook's got to stay with this rook, you're losing an exchange, down on f1. So f5 was now tried, but bishop takes, rook recaptures, check. There goes the king, and queen e2 is incisive. You can't now take, discovered check, because the queen will simply capture. So rook c1 is played, hits a loose piece. Queen takes on e5, wins a pawn, defends a bishop. The writing's on the wall. White opens a file, but to no avail. That king's safe as houses. Bishop d6 prepares to checkmate on h2. And Wesley's calculated perfectly correctly. Don't be afraid of ghosts. King g1, and fine, white can check, but that's all it is, a check. Can't take here, queen covers. You can take here, but then you get mated. This is the problem. Black very much has threats, and that's why in the game, no check was played, but pawn g3. Sets a small trap. Don't play the obvious. Queen takes on g3. We're in the back cave. If you do this, well, now after check, it's different. With no queen on e5, the rook is hanging. This would be the game, something along these lines, and this time, white wins. Different moves, takes here, rook f6, all good. So, no queen takes on g3. We saw check. The exposed king is now getting haunted. This is why you should be careful when you lift your underwear. King steps to g1, stays with the rook, but after bishop c5 check, we see resigns. Why? Well, the king only has one legal square, and if it steps there, you step in with the queen, check. You can't even get close to that rook, so it's just dropping, and you're getting mated. And if instead of stepping away with the king, you try and interpose like this, well, you still get mated, just in a different way. So with those trio of victories on day one, I think it was, Wesley almost wrapped up the tournament straight off the bat. Made a ton of draws on day two. What a snooze fest, but ultimately did enough to win the tournament. Can't knock that. Well played to Wesley taking home the blitz, and Nihal took home the rapid play. Have a look at the video on screen in case you missed that Nihal one. It really was a special video, special tournament for him, especially because of whom he dedicated this tournament victory to. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Cheers.